Welcome, everybody, to the R&amp Cast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&amp Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a sweet new sponsor this year in Gear Up Sports, a youth sports platform focused on solving the uniform and apparel headache for coaches. If you're a youth or high school sports team, need uniforms or player packs, please contact them at www.gearupwithus.com and make sure to mention the R&R Cast. Thanks to Gear Up for being our sponsor this year. Thorny, we're here to recap. What was it? Homecoming? It was homecoming last week.
Yes.
Holy cow. That was lost on me for just a split second. Portland State. There is no game this week. It's a bye week, so we will have a couple episodes coming up. But I think that's really it. We're going to talk Portland State one more time.
Yeah, that game totally deserves its own episode. It's a little bit of I tried to lay the sarcasm on extremely thick there. But yeah, it kind of just turns out that this is all we're going to talk about here.
Well, we have a gaggle of Golden Coolie questions, which is awesome. So we'll dive into those.
The only scripted talking point, I guess you could say.
All right. But that's really it. I mean, we have the FCS stats come out. So we'll talk about the polls, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. And Montana State's number 2. Let's go. Up. Man, that feels good. That feels really good. I was thinking today, remember when we cracked the top 25 back in the Kramer years? And we're like, yes, we're getting votes. We cracked the top 25. Now we're number 2 team in the nation. That's so awesome. Come a long way in our fandom. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But there was no press conference today, so no specific news, no injury news. That will come out next Monday when we preview Cal Poly, the juggernaut that Cal Poly is.
That might be even a less exciting episode than this episode.
Yeah. And then Ryan and I are going to break down kind of conference stuff and predictions, but I don't think that's coming tonight. That will be something separate.
No, I want to revisit our initial predictions. We did a prediction episode that we penciled out win-loss for every single team in the Big Sky. And I think it'd be fun to go look at the rankings now and then talk about that team top to bottom and then talk about where we had them ranked and if we still feel the same way and all that good stuff. But yeah, I think that's probably going to come later. Maybe it'll be a separate episode later this week, or maybe we'll roll it into the Cal Poly one, because I don't think there'll be a lot of preview talk about Cal Poly. It would be my guess.
Nope. And yeah, that would be something to chew on. You know, after Cal Poly, we're looking at some tough games, but
yeah,
don't put the cart before the horse on that.
Never do.
All right, let's do this segment. We always talk about what's in our Golden Coolie.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
What's in your Golden Coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Go to them for all your farming equipment and fertilizer needs in the Golden Triangle. Ryan and I kind of from that area a little bit, so we know. Go see those guys. They'll take care of you. All right. Bully, I'm not feeling real good today. I have a sparkling water in my Golden Coolie. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I wasn't going to, but let's do it for fun. It's Waterloo, a brand that I have no idea what that is. It's a blackberry lemonade. But as with any sparkling water, if you gave me 20 different flavors of sparkling water and told me to guess what this is, I would guess 0 of them. Because they all just taste like somebody spritzed some sort of flavor into it, but an unidentifiable flavor has been spritzed in my sparkling water.
Oh my gosh. I was just thinking of a new segment with us, Blindfold Thorny. Give him like 4 different LaCroix. Figure out guess the flavors.
I mean, I don't have a sense of smell, so admittedly my palate's probably not very refined. But like Skittles, M&Ms, man, they all taste the same to me. So I imagine, yeah, sparkling waters all taste the same.
Yeah, I always forget that you can't smell. Yeah, that must affect your taste a lot.
Yeah, I imagine. I imagine it does, but I wouldn't be an overweight dude if I couldn't taste anything. Tell you that much.
Have you always not had a sense of smell?
As long as I can remember, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I cannot smell
Probably
what the
helped
rock
you
is
during
cooking.
the-
It was a tough time in my life.
I was going to say, it probably helped you during the baby stage when you were changing all those diapers.
Sort of, because the wife's like, "Oh, you can't smell. You go deal with it," which is
Oh,
true.
man.
But I still can visually see it. It's
Fair.
super gross.
Cheers to not changing diapers
Yeah,
anymore, right?
That stage is done.
All right. Let's see. I did put more thought into this. I've been convicting myself about it, not just going with the Ranier every week. I have the Porch Glow, one of my go-tos though. Porch Glow Amber, no library here in Spokane, Washington. I love ambers, man. Oktoberfest is out right now. Have you had any Oktoberfest lately?
Oh no, I saw that at Costco. Costco always has the Sam Adams, I believe, which I like.
Isn't that the one you love? You always talk about it.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't buy it though, but yes, I think it's Oktoberfest season. I just haven't had any yet.
Yeah. All right.
And good choice on the amber.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Alrighty. Well, I think what we'll do today is we're just going right into the stats, man. Our stats lovers.
Yeah.
I know there's some out there. Some guys talk to me and they're like, "Man, I love when Thornton gives the stats."
Really?
And I think that's what makes this a good combo. You're such a stat guy, and I'm more of the narrative guy.
I've always feel like this segment, like people just have to hate it. Like who likes having stats read out loud to you? I just feel like we have to. We should. But hey, some feedback. All right. It gives me some motivation. That gives me some juice. All right, here we go. The Bobcats on homecoming, 38-22 over Portland State in a game. Was it that close as the score? We'll get into that. I'm curious to see if you think it was as close as the score indicated or not. We were actually out first downed by Portland State. They had 21 first downs to the Bobcats 18, but Portland State just 5 for 13 on third down and 1 for 2 on fourth down. So the Bobcat conversion defense continues to be strong. The Cats were 4 for 7 on third down, only 7 attempts, but over 50%. That's a good clip there. Cats 456 yards of total offense, 143 through the air, and 313 on the ground. A over 300 performance. We should have like a special milestone, like a little sound bite when we have over 300 yards on the ground, because that's kind of like the barometer, right?
Like a little bell ding.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah, we got to come up with something clever there. We are so clever. 127 yards for Portland State through the air and 184 yards on the ground. A lot of that, I'm sure, when you get into individual stats, would be Dante Chachere. 5 penalties on Portland State for 40 yards. 6 penalties for 65 damn yards for the Bobcats. Just looking at that makes my blood boil. Just remembering how it all transpired. 2 turnovers by Portland State. 2 interceptions. Bobcats took care of the football. 0 turnovers. And Portland State held on to the ball for a long time, 34 minutes to just 25 or 26 for the Cats, but doesn't matter in the end. So there you go.
Couple
There's
more
your
stats
team
for you.
stats. Take it away.
Yeah, we got some red zone. So Portland State was 2 for 2 in the red zone. Both Dante Chachere. No, Chachere had one outside of the red zone. The late touchdown was the second one. Montana State was 5 for 6 in the red zone. Portland State had 0 sacks. Montana State, can you guess how many sacks we had? I told you during the game.
Oh, I don't remember. Was it 4 or 5?
5. It's 5
Yeah.
sacks for 28 yards. And Portland State punted 3 times for 151 yards. Their punter was going deep on us.
50 yards an average. That's good.
Yeah, we were 2 for 82. Can you do that math, Thorny?
41.
There it is. Attaboy. Sean Chambers had a Chambers-esque day. 4 rushes for 119 yards. Long of what was 88? I can't even remember. But it was
beautiful
that was a
run.
touchdown. And, Cleveland Thomas should get credit for that touchdown, not Sean Chambers. Chambers has the wheels, no doubt. Cleveland hit 3 blocks on that to spring Sean.
it was great seeing him hustle down and took two guys out of the play.
Yeah, Chambers needs to take CT out for dinner on that one. Thank him for that one. Chambers also had 14 for 21 on passing, 143 with 3 touchdowns, including a dime to aforementioned CT, a 20-yard strike to him, and a couple short passes to Derek Snell. Jared White was 10 for 102, so we did have a running back go north of 100. Elijah Elliott had 5 carries, 49 yards. Julius Davis, 8 carries, 42 yards with a touchdown. Pickering had 3 for 55. Snell was 5 for 26 with 2 touchdowns.
Woo.
Let's go. CT 1 for 20 with a touchdown. Ty McCulloch got his first action as a Bobcat, 2 for 14. I was super stoked to see that guy. I didn't even know what he looked like. I was just happy to see him in uniform.
Yeah.
Kato Riley had 8 total tackles, 1.5 tackles for a loss and a sack. Greeby had 2.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles.
Stud.
Is that even right? I don't remember the forced fumbles.
No, he did. I remember it.
Okay. Kenneth Iden, the fourth, had 1 tackle for a loss and 1 sack. Blake Heel, big Blake Heel. I love his tummy just hanging out of his jersey all the time. My favorite part about Blake Heel. He had a tackle for a loss and a sack. Sticks. He had 2 punts for 82 yards. Sticks Hall. He had a 21-yard field goal, which was good to see. I was like, finally, we made a field goal. That's like a concern for me. I'm getting like a pucker every time we go for a field goal anymore. We have 7 kickoffs for 5 touchbacks and 3 for 3 for points after. And Dante Chachere, sounds like a French cooking term, was 16 carries for 111 yards. 2 touchdowns and 14 for 25 for 105 yards through the air, although he had 2 interceptions.
What stats are you looking at?
Whatever. I just pull it from MSU Bobcats.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because ESPN says he had 83 rushing yards.
I think one of those counts sacks and one of them doesn't.
I thought the NCAA had to count sacks as negative rushing yards. Interesting. Whatever. He burned us.
Yeah, he was good, man. Really good. Those are the stats. Statsy stats. I got some. Do you want to go? I did write down some Big Sky conference stats. Would you like me to
real quick? Did you mention Quincy Craig real quick? I want to just call out his stats.
No, I did not have Quincy Craig's.
Oh, man. Yeah, he had 18 carries for 60 yards, and he had 4 receptions for 49 yards. So he had over 100 total yards of offense against the Bobcats. He was pretty dynamic. He was fast, and he was very agile, and he had good cuts. I was pretty impressed with the Quincy Craig. I could see why Portland State scores a lot of points.
Was Craig the transfer from UCLA?
I don't know. He was number 17, I think. Yeah, no, he's number 27. Excuse me. So he's listed as a running back. So I don't think he was the transfer necessarily.
Oh.
No, he's a freshman. So the guy you're probably thinking of would be, I don't know. I don't remember who it was. I'm looking at receiving. Is it Jermaine Braddock? He had 6 receptions.
Not sure.
He's a senior. Let's go look at his game log. Nope, not going to tell me. I don't know. But yeah, they did have a transfer that was turning up a little bit. Yeah, he transferred from some Mountain West school, looks like. So yeah, that would be him.
Dude, I don't know if you have had this, but I've been thinking about this game, and I can't think of a lot that really just stood out to me. It's been kind of a hard game to process in my brain. One thing I was happy about, our first half woes, like going down 7-6, felt bad. And our tackling was really poor first half of the game. But it didn't torpedo the game for us. We made good halftime adjustments. I think that's like, for our listeners and fans, that's like something maybe that goes unnoticed that old Bobcat teams would have probably had a lot of difficulty overcoming in the second half. But this version of the Bobcats, it didn't let them affect us. Like, we went and had a dominant second half and put these guys away like we should have. Don't let that go unnoticed.
No, I mean, some of the takeaways for me, like that, like you're saying, I think it was kind of good for the Cats to get pushed a little bit there in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, South Dakota State had plenty of adversity, but other than that, the Cats have been in cruise control. So it was good to have somebody kind of come out and punch the Cats because we had to respond. We had to respond several times in this game. And I think that's kind of the battle-tested mentality you kind of want. I mean, maybe you don't want a team like Portland State, who's not necessarily a team threatening for the playoff picture to do it. But, I think it does ultimately help the team down the road. And it helps the coaching staff. It kind of helps everyone kind of get their heads right and kind of know what it takes when a team punches you and comes out and surprises you. How do you respond? And when things don't go your way, like penalty after penalty against the Cats, whether they're warranted or not, that happens sometimes. Referees are going to have calls against your team. How do you respond? How do you respond when your top running back, Julius Davis, is like limited? How do you respond? I mean, we had lots of things kind of stacked against us in this game a little bit, and the Cats responded, and it gives me hope that, this is a team that can continue and has that mental fortitude to progress into the playoffs.
Nolan Askelson gets a targeting. That was a basically phantom call.
That was so bad, man.
Yeah.
So many times in football when it's against your team, I'm so like logical and like reasonably reasonable, I guess. You can see like, okay, I could see why, all Cat fans are angry, but I can see why they did this. That was so lame. Like they basically, he slid at the same time that Askelson dove, and his face mask like grazed the top of his helmet. It wasn't even like, I don't know.
Makes you wonder why we have instant replay. If that's what they're seeing, like, what are we doing?
Why did they review it? There was no penalty called on the field. So what prompted the officials to even like review that? How does that even transpire? Was Bruce Barnum over there like, hey, you guys need to go look at that? Oh, that's a terrible Bruce Barnum impression, but is he the one complaining? Like, go look at that, see if there's a targeting? Like, how does that happen? That's the part of
all targeting fouls indicated or reviewed,
but it wasn't a penalty.
Oh, you're right.
So that's the, like, if they would have called a penalty and then went to confirm that, then that's one thing. They just like seemingly, oh, hold on now, let's go take a look at this. I don't get it.
There's a lot of chatter about the guy in the white hat, the head referee.
Is he a redhead?
No, he's not. But he,
you said
he
redhead.
is. He has torpedoed some of our games before.
It's just funny how it happens sometimes. Like one guy just gets the fan base like, hey, this guy was last time that we had bad calls, and all of a sudden it snowballs.
Yeah. Just a scapegoat.
And then the guy, like, maybe he embraces the villainy and he's like, oh, I'll show you guys. You want me to be a villain? Villain origin story. I don't know. But
on Portland State real quick, it would not be surprised to me if they show up at the end of the season with like a 7-4 record somewhere. Let's see what they got going on.
Yeah, let's take a look at their schedule.
Yeah, they got to open right now. And then they go to Northern Arizona. Then they play Idaho State at home. Eastern at home. And they go to Davis. And they play at Montana.
No.
And
they play in Portland or in Hillsboro against the Grizz.
Oh,
so the
yeah.
Grizz got to go on the road.
That's right.
The Grizz have to go on the road to Portland State right before Cat Grizz.
And then they finish at Northern Colorado, which is like a game nobody will pay attention to at the end. But Portland State, I thought they were better than I thought they were going to be. Like, I keep coming back to the term pesky. Pesky seems like a good term for these guys. Like you said, they had some really dynamic players. They just didn't have the number of dynamic players that we have. Like Montana State has players like that all over the field. They had, 4 or 5 of them.
Yep. And they had some elite speed for sure, but they just couldn't string together enough plays before kind of unraveling. I think the interceptions and the stripped fumbles and things kind of, spiraled out of control for them, but they hung in there. That takes like a perfect game for a team like that to come into like Bozeman and Bobcat Stadium and get a win. But they came closer than you would like, perhaps in some ways.
Well, think about this, Ryan. That one drive where we aided them all down the field. If we got off the field, if Brody Greavy does not commit that personal foul on third down, where we stop him, does the game even remotely look like it does? Are we in cruise control because we just went 3 and out and then we drive down the field, score?
Yeah, it's possible. There was very few possessions by the Bobcats in that first half, I feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was one drive that lasted forever. Which drive was
on that drive?
Yeah, I was actually going to go. I'm taking a look. Let's see. That must have been the 9-play, 75-yard, 3 minutes and 25 seconds. It seems like it would have been longer than that. Maybe it just felt like 10 minutes. But I think that's probably the one. Targeting on Nolan Askelson. Yeah. Ugh. Unnecessary roughness on Rylan Ort. I don't even remember that one. Pass interference. Ugh. Yeah. The pass interference was also questionable.
Very questionable.
But that happens. I mean, pass interference, they're going to get called defensive backs once in a while, but didn't look like he did very much. John Johnson? Yeah, he got the revenge late in the game, though, with a nice interception where he basically turned to the receiver and caught like an over-the-shoulder pass. It was a nice interception.
Yeah, way to get his eyes turned around. A lot of the time, defensive backs won't do that. So, nice on him.
I really like our secondary. I like our cornerbacks. I think they're playing at a really high level.
Didn't see that coming.
No. Was this the season or was it last season we had guys like Zambrano transfer out? Was there a lot of attrition last season? I can't remember. Maybe that was 2 seasons ago, but just coming in, like you just weren't quite sure. I think a lot of people had that pegged as kind of a question mark, but I don't think it's a question mark at all. Especially the safeties, but the cornerbacks, I think they're really coming along too. Because Simeon Woodard did not even play in this game, right?
Nope, he didn't. Got to see Powdrell make a couple plays. He's electric.
Is he the one? Did he blow a play up?
He did.
Yeah. Is he number 0?
I think he's like 1 or 2. I don't think he's 0. Zero's Stillwell. Blake Stillwell.
Stillwell. That's who I was getting him confused with. Stillwell and Powdrell. Similar names, both new faces to the team, and one's 0 and one's 1.
I'm not certain on Powdrell. I'll look that up. I should have a roster in front of me. I don't.
Also, did Drew Polidor get hurt in this game?
Not that I know.
There was one play I thought he was like got up gingerly, and I didn't pay enough attention to remember if he came back in or not. Must not have been because I haven't seen anything about it on Bobcat Nation, but I do remember him like getting dinged up a little at one point.
Wouldn't be surprised. The guy plays vicious. Powdrell's number 1.
Stillwell 0.
I didn't really talk about the football rankings. Should we talk about the rankings? Anything really else you want to talk about this game?
Well, yeah, we're kind of getting into it. Well, now that you kind of wrapped it up like that, I don't know where to go now. That was I
think we'll get some more talk about it when we get into the Bobcat, the Golden Coolie questions.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, Bobcats. We're waiting for this one. FCS Stats Perform, which is this really just Craig Haley's baby?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's not just Craig Haley. He has like a panel of people and voters and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, and I went on his website today and I saw all those postings or all the voters in that. Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz, is one of the voters. Not going to say much about that. Number 1, South Dakota State. They were on idle. Maintained their first place. Montana State. Your Montana State Bobcats. Let's go. Number 2 in the nation. 4-1. Idaho Vandals. Previously number 4 are now number 3.
Man.
And Sac State is number 4. So your Big Sky Conference, number 2, 3, and 4. Boom. Right there.
It was kind of crazy to see, to me, a little bit, Sac State being number 4 after losing to Idaho and then squeaking out a victory against Northern Arizona. I guess that's what happens when a whole bunch of teams like the top 7 lose, though.
Do you think Sac State's at the same level as Montana State?
I don't think so, but...
Do you think Idaho is the same level as Montana State? Are we in the same tier?
It's possible. It's possible. They don't look like they're good enough on defense, though, to be in the same tier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's close, though, right? It's really close.
Yeah, I think either one of those games is going to be pretty difficult for the Bobcats to win on the road.
Okay, so wrapping it up, let's see. Weber State maintains at 13. Let's see, North Dakota State fell from number 2 down to number 7 after losing to South Dakota State.
This poll was
South Dakota.
The results of this poll were basically some teams that shouldn't have moved up in normal week probably wouldn't have moved up, but this week was just about just winning. Because plenty of teams in the top 25 did not win. So if you beat your unranked 1 and 4 opponent by 3, that's good enough to move up in the rankings this week. Like Weber State hanging on for dear life, beat Northern Colorado, gets to move up in the polls because so many people lost. Normally, the 3-point win against, or a 7-point last second win against Northern Colorado might actually hurt you in the rankings, but not this week.
Or winning with like 20 or an 8-point win for Montana.
Yeah, exactly. And Sac State beating NAU, like there was some close calls in this week. And the Cats, that's why the Cats are almost impressive. It seemed to be like a bug that went around. The only 2 teams that really handled business were SDSU and Montana State.
Mm-hmm.
SDSU cruised by North Dakota, a ranked opponent. So that was even more impressive. They're looking pretty damn good.
Eastern Washington dropped from 19 to 22. I would say Eastern Washington's better than Montana. The fact that Montana is ranked 17 in the nation. If you want a take on this, go watch I don't know what they're called, the SDSU fan pod. They ripped Craig Haley a new one. Like, they were like, how the hell do the Grizzlies stay in the top 25?
Yeah.
After losing to Northern Arizona. And they called it clickbait. The guy just went off. And he it's quite funny. Like, but essentially clickbait to keep Montana in there for name recognition. And he was torqued because he's like, you're really messing with teams, young men who play as hard as they can to make the playoffs. And his plight was, hey, you kept Montana in this poll just to get some clickbait.
Yeah, just to drop some controversy and get people talking about your poll.
Or Sam Herder's he publishes his poll every week. He hasn't had the Grizzlies in the top 25 for like 2-3 weeks.
Did they make a reappearance this week?
No.
Yeah. That's I don't mind if they're like between 20 and 25. I think in the top 20 is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Like looking at Eastern and then looking at Montana, Eastern's clearly the better team right now. And this is not predictive. This poll shouldn't be where you think we're going to end up in November. This poll should be where are we right now?
And your body of work. So I think it's different than a power ranking, because a power ranking, I think, can change drastically from week to week. You got to kind of take in their whole body of work to this point into account. Now, how much you want to weigh that is probably up to every single voter and every single poll on the planet. Everyone's going to kind of weigh that differently. But I don't think that should be too drastic of moves, personally. But if I would have had the Grizz out last week, and I'm not sure I would have squeezed them back in, but there's so many teams lost. So they benefited from that too.
Yeah. Grizz look better. It's looked more cohesive with Clifton McDowell as their quarterback. But it was Idaho State.
It's Idaho State at home in Missoula.
At home. Homecoming.
On homecoming.
And I listened to the GFP today. Idaho State was ranked second to last out of all FCS teams in run support or run defense.
And how'd the Grizz do?
I don't know. They won by 8 points.
I meant, well, yeah, I'm just curious. Did they run all over them or did they get stuffed?
No, they didn't. They did not run all over.
Oh, man. There's not a lot of good run defenses in the Big Sky. It doesn't seem. Which makes me happy.
Yeah, we're going to get tested, I think, against Idaho. Looking at the back half of our schedule, so after the bye, we come out, play Cal Poly. Then we go to Sac State. Sac State's defense hasn't looked like I thought they would, especially given their head coach now. We go at Idaho. I purchased tickets to at Idaho for my family. $15. Tons of tickets left. Want to know what the fees for each of those tickets for? $20 per ticket on Go Vandals. Crazy, man. Anyways, so we go to at Idaho, Northern Arizona. There's a team I'm really interested about right now. Northern Arizona. They made the move to having their quarterback, their freshman quarterback, and he's just giving them a spark. It's interesting. They're just kind of, I don't know. They're kind of hot right now.
Yeah, they've looked pretty good against Sac State.
Eastern's been good. I didn't want to mention that, but Eastern's looked a lot better. So we play Eastern at home finally since it feels like 2018. Since the last time the Eagles been in Bozeman. And then we play Montana. Cat Grizz.
So I say we put a pin in this discussion because I think we planned on talking about this next week, right?
Yeah, I was going off the rails.
And here we are all of a sudden just talking a whole bunch about the Big Sky Conference. So that might be a good time to wrap up the episode. I don't know. I guess, no, it's a good time to go to the Golden Coolie questions, I think.
Let's
push this along. Let's cruise past that little Big Sky Conference discussion. Get in some Coolie questions.
All right. I'm going to send a Golden Coolie out tomorrow. It's already setting upstairs. I love it. Where do we start?
It's always nice when you ask the question because it's like a good place to scroll to.
Okay. Yep. Got it. Bleeding Blue. First one says, do you feel threatened by the new Cats Pod podcast?
That's funny. Honestly, as a Bobcat fan, first and foremost, the more the merrier.
Sure.
Like, it's more Bobcat content for more Bobcat fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
They're doing what
makes me happy as a Bobcat fan.
Yeah. Good for them. Really is good for them. Hope they do well.
Hope they become the second best fan-based podcast about the Bobcats.
It's a good name. They got a really good name.
It's nice. It's clever.
It is clever. All right. Rooting for the Cats says the Cats have been really productive with sacks this season. Greeby currently leads the team. Which Bobcat do you see finishing the season leading in sacks? You would have asked me this before the season. I was thinking Kenneth Iden. I think it might be Brody Greeby.
It's got to be Greeby, man. He's turning it to another level.
Yeah,
this year.
Last
year it felt like kind of a step back for him compared to when he was a freshman, but seems like he's kind of regained some of that this year. I don't know if he got
a little bit of magic.
His body right this year. Like, he maybe put on too much mass last year. I know we had talked about that. We were concerned, did he just get too heavy too fast? He lost some of that explosiveness. I don't know. It seems to be the good combination this year because it seems to look plenty strong and explosive.
Mm-hmm.
It was just another year in the weight room.
Also looked like he was wearing a medium jersey last year. Just saying.
I don't know what that means.
It's just it's just too small. Just looked like he was busting out of it. Anyways, Prodigal Cat.
Hold on, time out. How do you like Blake Heel's belly hanging out, but you don't like Brody Greeby wearing too tight of a shirt?
Well, Blake Heel looks like a big teddy bear.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the logic of
he's got the Pooh Bear
ill-fitting clothing.
He's got the Pooh Bear tummy where his shirt's just a little too high. You're just like, oh.
You just want to poke it and like Pillsbury Doughboy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's like big hairy tummy, but yeah, I'd still poke it probably.
Oh, man. I honestly haven't noticed his belly hanging out, so.
I guarantee this next question, you did not do it, but I did. I took some time to write it out. So Prodigal Cat went on and he put all these beer styles and he says rank them. So he puts that out: IPA, brown ale, pale ale, Mexican lager, hazy IPA, Oktoberfest, stout, Scotch, and Heffy. I assume that was in random order, unless that's Prodigal Cat's preference.
Doesn't
Here's
matter.
a fully breakdown. Number one for me is I'm trying not to burp. Pale ale, number one. Maybe I should have went from the bottom. Let's do that. Let's go back up to the top.
Wait, what?
My least favorite beer,
Okay.
Scotch ale. Too boozy. I'm not a big Scotch ale fan. I know you are. I know you were just like reaching for like a mountain man somewhere in your heart, but I'm not.
In my heart. My heart of hearts.
Your heart of hearts. My second least favorite beer, hazy IPA. They do something wicked, like ninja style, to my tummy the next morning.
You were all about the hazies like 2 years ago.
I was. And then they just wrecked me. My head, my tummy. You can find me on the pot.
You got
if I have hazy IPAs, man.
Fully
I'll tell
needs
you what.
filtered beers.
Heffy would be next. I do like a good Heffy, especially with like an orange slice. Above Heffies, I put Oktoberfest. I'm a big bready, malty type of guy anymore. But I don't like a sweet Oktoberfest. I've had a couple sweet ones lately, like have like honey in it or something like that. Ruins it for me. Mexican lager. Mexican lager shooting up my list. They're probably like my Northern Arizona beers this year, where I'm like, man, I really like a good Mexican lager. I like them salty too. I like a little bit of a salt flavor in there. Stout would be next for Mr. Foley. Chocolate stout. I don't like the thick or the high alcohol stouts like Guinness. Guinness would be a preferred stout. They make one over here, like a day drinking stout at one of our breweries over here in Spokane. It's one of my favorite beers in town. Now we're moving into the top three. I love a good brown. You don't find them very often. Goes brown. Number two, an IPA. Still a West Coast IPA. Clean, crisp, hoppy IPA. I love a good IPA. Then a pale ale, a strong pale ale. Number one.
Pale ale. What's your favorite pale ale?
Prickly pear.
Prickly pear. I was going to say, what was it, the celebration one? Which one's that? Sierra Nevada?
Sierra Nevada is all a very good one, and one that I hold on like a lot of occasions when things are going good, or like a good ski run or awesome Bobcat win. It's celebration. You're right.
This is a pretty solid.
Prickly pear is awesome.
This is a solid list of beer. You gave some good choices here. There's really only one on this list that I don't like, and you're gonna know what it is. IPA. I'll start at the bottom. IPAs are disgusting. As a not picky eater or drinker of much of anything, IPAs are just ugh, no, thank you.
Come on, man. Like, there's been a couple episodes where you've debuted an IPA and you're like, huh? Kind of like it.
Yeah,
So,
those are typically juicy ones. Like I've kind of gravitate towards, or a less hoppy version of IPAs. I've had some that I like, so don't get me wrong. So I guess I could say there are some out there, but in general, they vary so much. Like a lager is a lager is a lager. IPAs can taste wildly different from brewer to brewer.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, second least favorite on this one, I guess, would be, oh man, I like so many of these beers. Hazy IPA, I guess. I'll put that next. I don't mind hazies. They're okay. Then I'll go with a pale ale, probably, as my third least favorite.
Tony just doesn't like hops, people.
I like some pale ales. Like I said, IPAs are the ones I don't like. Everything else on here I do like. This is getting harder for me to rank these now. What do we go? I goes Mexican lager, probably. And it's not that I don't like them. It's just I find myself drinking all the other beers on this list more than Mexican lagers. That's really why they're ranked where they are. Oh man, this is tough. I guess I'll put a Oktoberfest next. I do really like Oktoberfest. Then I'll put a brown. Okay, working my way up here. What do I got left here? I'll put Scotch. That's my third favorite beer, right? Yes, my third favorite beer, Scotch. Second favorite beer is Hefeweizens.
Oh, I was going to say that was number one for you.
And first favorite is Stouts, baby. I love Stouts. And those top three are pretty interchangeable. I love Scotch, I love Stouts, and I love Hefeweizens. But
Scotch.
Yeah, those are good. This is a good list of beers here.
That was a good question, Prodigal
Yeah,
Cat.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Did you purposely skip Blue and Gold Blitz, or did you just miss it?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I missed it. It says, do you ride with Chambers QB1 or does Tommy come back as QB1? With a few Big Sky teams showing a little better than expected, how do you rank the remaining games the Bobcats have left by difficulty? How about we shelf that second one for when we're coming back?
We just have to remember that.
Man, he asked he just threw this grenade. Chambers as QB1 or Tommy as QB1. I was going to start a thread on Bobcat Nation if Chambers just rolled. Let's say he rolled like he did in Weber. I was going to start a thread on Bobcat Nation called The Elephant in the Room. And it's this question. Wife's chili or the mom's chili?
Yeah, still the old chili debate here. The old chili debate, it's been going on forever. It's going on for a week.
This is mix them if you're thorny.
Yeah, mix. I mean, that's the answer still. I don't know. We can be succinct about this question. Chambers, he didn't have the greatest throwing game, but I don't know, man. It's still tough for me. I think he can do more, but he's going to make more mistakes, but he can make throws that Tommy doesn't even attempt to make. They both do such different things well. I just think they both play, so I'm not sure QB1 matters so much. So I would just like to see more Chambers at QB1, but thinking back about the leadership style, maybe Tommy is just QB1 just because he's the leader. But I'd like to see Chambers more involved than just goal line Chambers.
I'm going with the wife's chili here. I'm going with Chambers as QB1. I can't not come back to it. I just think he's more dynamic. He's got the legs. Look how fast he is. Man, he is insanely fast.
And for how big he is, it's incredible.
So I thought he was a little bit nervous or just juiced, one of the two, in this homecoming game, first half. I just think our offense hums better with him. Chambers,
QB1, under center, pro style offense that we ran against Weber State. Definitely. It didn't seem to work out quite as well. Maybe there's lots of different factors into that. I don't know. It's such a hard question. It's so hard. There's no wrong answer. We're in such a great position to have two guys that I think are capable of taking us to the national championship game.
So Cal Poly comes 2 weeks. Thorny, a lot trots back out there. QB1, gut instinct, gut feeling.
Yeah, I think it does.
No. My question is, how do you feel in your gut about that?
Fine with it.
Fine?
Yeah.
There's no disappointment? There's no
disappointment that we didn't try and shake things up a little bit, but I don't know. Not much disappointment.
Okay.
Minimal.
I still think maybe I should start that. That might be a good off-season bye week thread.
Could be.
The elephant in the room.
All right. Good question. I think that question's on everybody's mind, basically.
Yep. Ooh.
All right.
Colorado Cat. Forgot Stout, Scotch Ale.
Yeah,
we talked about those.
Long time Cat. Next question. I know you guys love Elliott, but who would you play less so that he could play more? It's a good question. I mean, it seems to me like I like Scotchery Humphrey a lot, but I think Elliott should be getting those carries. Well, Humphrey's a freshman.
At this point, I think we need to preserve Scotchery's red shirt.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep.
I would go with that.
So Lane Sumner is hurt, so you got Julius Davis, and I think
I think Sumner can come back.
I think he will. I'm just saying, like right now. So it's Davis, and then I would go Davis, and then I mean, I'd almost get Elliott equal amount of carries with White.
Yeah,
I really like White. I like both of those guys a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we're not splitting carries more. It just seems like we're not sharing the carries as much this year. It seems so interchangeable in the previous years, but maybe that was just because of injuries and stuff. Maybe now that we have a bell cow type guy with Julius Davis, that's what ultimately Vegan and/or Housewright want to do.
And by the way, I love the way Davis runs. We haven't talked a lot about that guy.
No,
he's been awesome.
We haven't really probably praised him nearly enough. He has so much fire. He's on the sidelines getting his team fired up. He's out there making plays, doing a little bit of smack talking John with the other team, running hard, running guys over, pumping his legs, finishing runs. Dude, I love that guy.
Yeah. He's a dude.
He's a dude. He is a big-time FBS looking dude.
What year is he?
I think he's a junior.
Oh, nice. Sweet.
He's 23, right? Is that his number? No, what is his number? Goodness. Dyslexic. 32. He's listed as a junior on the website. So it's just Lane Sumner as a senior. And then the rest of the guys come back. Watch out, Big Sky. Goodness. Second part of his question. If Bobby Daly were still 22, who wins a wrestling match between Bobby Daly and Brody Greavy? I mean, Brody Greavy, I think.
Yeah.
Daly was never that big.
Yeah, Brody Greavy's not only... He's got size on him. I think Brody Greavy could hog tie Bobby Daly.
Was Bobby Daly some sort of like state champion wrestler? I don't remember or anything like that. I don't know why Daly was picked for this question. So there's got to be something more to it. But to me, it just seems like Brody Greavy. I mean, he's a defensive lineman, so he's used to like mixing it up and wrestling it. I mean, Bobby Daly could get off blocks better than any linebacker that we've had probably ever, and that takes a certain amount of arm strength and maneuvering. But I don't know. I think Greavy takes it.
I would like to see Bobby Daly as an elevated coach.
I think he could take over the DC role someday.
Head coach.
Well, then maybe even further someday.
Yeah.
Some more some days.
Alrighty. Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Roll them down.
Missoula Cat fan asks us, how about another one? Seabass versus Minter.
Ooh.
Now that one I think is pretty evenly matched. I think Valdez has got to be stronger than Minter, but Minter's quicker.
Yep.
Minter had very fast feet. For his size and his agility and speed was ridiculous.
He was like a unicorn of a dude. It's like this huge dude with just fleet of feet. It's a wrecking ball.
I always remember that like pick six he had, just booking it down the sideline like a giant fullback.
Oh my gosh. If maybe we should link it in our show notes. Do we even have show notes? I don't know. We can have show notes. We could put a
I've
link
never
to
heard
the
you say
episode
show
where
notes in this entire podcast.
Yeah, where we interviewed Zach Minter. That was one of the funniest episodes we've ever done because he has some hilarious stories. He talks about the time he punted and had kicking duties.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Cat fans who were from that era will remember that because it was very memorable.
There's a swine flu going around. And Zach Minter had to pull kicking duties. And he had to kick away from
Taiwan Jones.
That guy for
Taiwan Jones. And the coach is like, kick it away from Taiwan Jones. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to kick the ball.
He's like, we want you to kick right. And Zach's like, what the hell? I'm just trying to kick it down the field, man. Oh my gosh, I remember seeing that on TV being like, is that Zach Minter kicking the ball? Like, what the heck?
Jeez, that was
What's going on right
how bad was that we were down to we didn't punt because that was Eastern Washington, right? We didn't punt.
Oh, no, I think that was a different Eastern game.
We didn't kick a field goal.
That's a Dakota Brew Cup game.
Gosh, it's funny. Well, that's what I'm saying. It was field goals. We didn't attempt field goals. We went for it on fourth down every time because we didn't have a field goal kicker.
Oh, that was such a funny interview. There's some other stories about him being an intern.
Cats 2506 did mention that Tucker would take care of either one of those guys in the wrestling match. Tucker Yates. Yeah, he was
a state champion.
He was a very good wrestler in high school.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he was a mean kid on the defensive line. I would bet money on Tucker Yates for sure. All right, you want to read the next one from MT football?
Well, that one's getting into the conference again. I'm going to hold that one for our next episode. Oh my gosh, this is all about me right now. Judith Basin Cat, his third post, his or her third post, regardless of the taste, what percentage of guys are picking their mom's chili over their wife's? Oh, it lives on.
I mean, guys who don't want to sleep on their couch probably should pick their wife's chili. But that's
the right answer, Thorny, is picking your wife's chili.
I already said, gotta give love to the woman who brought me in this world. That's why I'm picking my mama's chili.
I remember when we were going through our premarital counseling, and one of the sessions was like, when you get married, our pastor used this on context. He's like, you cleave and you leave. It's like, all right, I love my mom, but I'm picking my wife's chili.
Okay,
that's the easy choice.
Well, in reality, my wife doesn't cook it at all.
He says, what percentage? Let's get into that real quick. What percentage of guys are picking their mom's chili?
Oh, that's a good question. I really don't know. Put that
on the poll, man. But people would mix that up with Tommy and Chambers, the way we framed it.
There's plenty of mama's boys out there.
Yeah, there are. There really are, including you.
I don't know if it makes me a mama's boy that I eat my mom's chili or my wife's chili. Maybe it does.
Self-proclaimed.
You proclaimed. Like nothing self-proclaimed about that. Vim. Buddy old Vim since 03. The best poster in the history of Bobcat Nation. if you had to pick one, Homecoming or Gold Rush, and why? Gold Rush, easy for me.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, my answer on this one, Gold Rush.
It's unique to Montana State. I mean, sort of, I guess. I mean, colored things are not unique, but it's just become its own thing. We've just seen it grow every year. I've been a part of it since the ground up, I guess. Maybe that's why I feel more attached to it. I just really like Gold Rush, and I love what it's turned into, and it's this thing, and I have the collection of t-shirts from almost every single year. I actually do need to bust those out and see if I'm missing any years and try and reach out if anybody has a spare year I'm missing. I think I got most of them, but I love it. I love Gold Rush.
Now, I love that it's a night game.
Yeah.
It kicks off the season, so it still has that summer nights feel. Has that fresh, everybody's back at school feel. It's the hope eternal kind of feeling. We're like, man, this is going to be an awesome season. Seeing the sea of gold, seeing the sunset turn into gold. It's amazing. Homecoming's fun. Absolutely is fun and nostalgic. Often they're kind of hard games because they are conference games. It can be kind of crappy weather sometimes. I'm going Gold Rush all the time. Because even if it's really hot, like it was 2 years ago, 100 or some degrees or whatever, it's going to turn night. Yep. It's going to cool off. It's going to feel good.
Homecoming definitely has better activities around the game, but the game itself, Gold Rush.
I'd be interested to see what Vim thinks.
Yeah, we should ask him. Why don't you take the next one?
Got to go to the next page.
No.
Down at the very bottom.
Miss it.
All right, scroll back down. I had to go back. Good internet. Thank you, God. How many more touchdowns do the tight ends need to catch before you are satisfied? Throw to the tight ends, CNC Cat. I blame you, Thorny, because I read this earlier on today. I am satisfied. CNC is listening too much to Thorne because you chastised me the last episode about this. You're like, I can't believe you weren't talking about Derek Snell, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you know what? I was going to give him due. We're doing good.
You wanted to get out of the good part of our good, bad, and ugly segment without talking about him. That's what you were going to do.
There is a nuance, though, CNC. Don't get me wrong, I love all the touchdowns. I think we should use them more on 5 to 7, 5 to 8 yard passes when we need them. I'll just put it that way.
They need to be more like safety valves and or quick little first down pickups.
That would make me more happy.
More satisfied?
Yeah.
Well, my answer is 3 touchdowns. It's a complete arbitrary number that I just came up with just now.
All right.
Well, I just think we need to diversify our goal line packages more. And I believe a big part of that is throwing it to the tight ends. So 3 more touchdowns. I don't know why I picked that number. Because I had
3, man. That's not good. So
they're tight ends. They don't need that many touchdowns. Come on.
Okay. Little Bobcats. I'm reading through. Let's save that one for the conference episode that we're keep talking about. So I think that's all we got on our end.
What we can answer that question.
Okay, then you read it.
He's not asking us to, he or she, you're right. They're not asking us to dive into anything. They're saying, is it completely awesome or more super stressful to have to dive into playoff seeding talk at the beginning of the season instead of just sitting back, relaxing, and seeing how it plays out come November? Not that I want to be content with the unknown until late in the season, but our whole thing right now is so beautiful, it kind of scares me. So they're just asking, like, is it more fun or more stressful to be talking about we need to win all these games so we get a number 2 seed before the season even starts versus going into a season like not having those high expectations, I guess, where you just get to watch football and hope we have a good season.
It would be nice to get a number 2 seed. That would be epic for Montana State trying to get to Frisco. However, if that does not happen, I'm pretty sure Montana State would at least get a first round game, if not a second round game as well, just because we could bid our way into that. And we're a pretty good team. I think the Bobcats play the best football in December, late November in December. Coach Vegan makes sure that happens. He talks about that a lot. So I don't think it makes much of a difference, a slight difference. I think having good, high expectations is always good. So I like talking about it now.
It's a weird position for me to be talking about this so early because it's like definitely putting the cart before the horse type situation. But we're fans, and that I think that's okay for fans to do that. Some people like, oh no, focus on the next game and one game at a time. Like, we're fans, we can talk about whatever the hell we want at any time. It's not going to make a lick of difference to the team, you know. But I don't know. I actually like having the expectations and like talking about seeding and playoff discussions and playoff scenarios like week 1. I think that's where you want to be as a program. And maybe it's more stressful, like you might say, but I do think it's awesome. I'll go with the completely awesome part of that question. Because it means we've arrived on the national scene.
All right.
There's a lot of questions to pick. Who are we going to pick there?
Oh, I know what I'm going to pick.
You got is it the beer list?
Yeah, Prodigal Cat. That's a great question, man.
Straight to our beer drinking hearts. He knows how to placate us.
Oh, man.
All right. I don't know if he has one or not. I think pretty much everybody does, but always reach out, get another one. Why not? And if you have an older one, we got newer ones. And if you have an older one, we also have stickers, maybe since the last time you had one. So get yourself something new.
We'll send you the swag.
Okay. That was a good episode. I think we are done right about an hour. Look at us. Somehow stretched Portland State discussion into an hour, although granted, most of it wasn't Portland State discussion. But, all right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Happy to go into the bye week. We'll talk about, is the bye week good? We'll talk about conference alignment. not alignment. Conference breakdowns. Let's not even get into conference alignment,
Conference
please.
results.
Your results.
Predictions.
And yeah, has our expectations for the cat changed now that the season's halfway through?
Yep. And we're open to any other suggestions. So if you're listening this far into this podcast and you have anything you'd like to hear us talk about on the bye week or anything like that, shoot us a message and we'll consider doing that. So thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. Look at that. That's like 2 in a row that I've not butchered. If you've been listening, you know what I'm talking about. Thanks to Gear Up Sports for being our awesome sponsor for this year. We appreciate that. Thanks to Wilbur Ellis for sponsoring the Golden Coolie segment. Much appreciated as well. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can find us on Twitter /X at rrcatcast. Instagram, rrcatcast. Email, rrcatcast@gmail.com. Man, I get tired of saying rrcatcast like 10 times in a row. But look at that consistent branding right there. Fully, let's get out of here, man. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.